For all the people that don't believe in this, are you able to have like a quick 5-minute session with me?
Samantha Fegert, also known as Sitara, is a psychic.
So you talk to dead people?
It's not just dead people. It's baby being, ghost, alien, angel, demon.
Why do you think you're chosen?
Because I'm one of them. I remember being in a group of beings. We were in like this field. It was like, who would like to take this life? And I remembered volunteering and saying, I'll take that life. I don't believe in sin.
Why?
Because I believe that sin is a construct that keeps humans trapped in a matrix.
If a young girl has an abortion, what happens to the soul of that embryo?
Sometimes they find another mother. Sometimes they may wait until the mother is ready to actually have that baby.
When does the soul enter the body?
Spark of light happens when sperm meets egg. The whole thing lights up, illuminates.
Sitara Faye, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm very excited about this one, actually.
Yes, me too.
Who are you for anybody watching this?
Ooh, good question. Who am I? I think I've answered that question in so many different ways, so many different stages of my life. For this podcast, I am... I help people develop their psychic abilities. I'm an activator. So I help people remember where they came from on a soul level before incarnating on Earth. And for those of us that are starseeds that have a big purpose and mission, I also help people to grow their business, being able to serve the Great Awakening as their soul intended.
So I'm not sure if you remember, but me and you were in the elevator together.
Okay.
Do you remember?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you remember I was on the phone?
Yes.
What were you thinking, by the way? Could you hear the phone call?
No, actually.
No. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't put those two together, actually, that you were the one in the elevator that we rode up with.
Yeah.
But it was good vibes.
Yeah. Well, I actually had somebody going off at me on the phone.
Oh,
right?
Okay. Interesting.
And I was like, I hope she's not hearing this. I was like, yes, sorry, yes, I know. I canceled on you again. I know, I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you, blah, 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 right?
Okay.
And then we went inside and I met you. And then I said, what do you do? And
you were like so smiley at me, though, even though you're being told off on the phone.
Was I looking at you smiling?
I was, yeah.
While I was on the phone?
Yeah.
Because I was trying to be like, sorry. I was very conscious that you could hear it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was basically being told off.
Okay, nice.
And
way to mask it.
What?
Yeah.
I'm good at that. I don't want to ruin the vibes. And so basically, we go inside, and then we and you have a conversation, and
right.
You say I'm a psychic.
That's true.
And I said to you, come on my podcast because I would love to talk about this, right? So I have a lot of questions because I was sitting at home thinking, what are the things that I want to know? So tell me listen, there's going to be a lot of dumb questions.
Ask them all.
Okay.
That's totally fine. Let's start at square one.
So you talk to dead people.
That is a gift of mediums, yes.
And you have that?
Yes.
What's a clairvoyant?
A clairvoyant is a person that can see and read energy, have visions. Clairvoyance is an ability of the third eye or sixth chakra.
Are you a clairvoyant?
Yes.
So a clairvoyant is somebody that sees into the future or talks to dead people? What is that?
Okay, so psychic is an umbrella term. So there are a lot of psychic abilities. Under that umbrella, there are like so many different abilities. And actually my favorite part of helping people tune into their abilities is that a lot of them are like fingerprints. So there's the basic ones, right? Like we all know how to pick up a marker and draw a picture, but the picture is going to be very different. It's kind of similar with psychic abilities. So everybody shows up a little bit different, but we can all learn how to open our third eye sort of thing.
Sure.
Being a medium means having the ability to communicate with spirit that is outside of human form. So it's not just dead people. It's baby beings that are ready to incarnate into this world, loved ones who have passed, ghosts or people who've gotten kind of stuck in the in-between, aliens, demons, angels, plant spirits, animal spirits, elementals. It's really just kind of consciousness, again, that's outside of human form.
You don't know anything about me. You just know my name.
I know that you're from Perth and that you like cars.
I don't like cars. She likes cars.
She likes cars. You entertain the conversation.
I entertain the conversation. Right. I bought that car because I thought I was cool.
Okay, cool.
I wanted to be cool.
Okay.
I was a kid.
All right.
Well, Michael Jackson wants to attract kids, so he builds a circus. You want to attract women, you buy a nice car.
That's funny. I've never seen a guy with a nice car and been like, I need to talk to that guy.
Okay, sure. Well, the wrong girls.
Maybe.
Are you able to have like a quick 5-minute session with me for all the people that don't believe in this, and because you don't know anything about me?
Nothing.
Right?
Yeah.
Is there anything you can tell me about me?
Do you want to go like into a field right now?
5
into
minutes.
a space?
5 minutes. Just so somebody's watching this going, my dad doesn't believe in this stuff.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then if somebody's watching this, which I'm sure some people wouldn't believe in it.
Uh-huh.
If you don't know anything about me, we know that. So if we do like a 5-minute session. Just a quick session.
And you just want me to read your field, see what comes up.
And you don't have to do it if you don't want to.
No, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you need from me?
Nothing.
Okay.
Except for
I'm scared.
Don't be scared. Can I lead you through a little bit of an experience? Please. A little pre? Okay. So go ahead and close your eyes with me. So connect your root chakra. This is an energy center at the base of your spine, right at your tailbone. Draw a line of energy from your root all the way down to the center of Gaia. And in the center of Gaia, you can visualize, I like to visualize a heartbeat. You can visualize a crystal. Sometimes if I'm really clearing a lot, I'll see the center of Gaia as like a liquid lava inferno that just burns away whatever it is I'm releasing. And just let yourself really feel your energy come fully present into your body. And really collecting any and all pieces or parts of you that have been separated for whatever reason. And let those pieces and parts of you come into the space of wholeness within your body. Okay, so the first thing that's coming, kind of a clue from what you said earlier, but it is about masking, right? And especially being in Dubai, there's so many masks here. So many masks. It's kind of like when you meet someone, you're like, okay, what mask are they showing me? What pretense am I seeing? Am I really feeling their heart? Am I really feeling what's tuned into that? So first thing that I'm seeing is like, you're at a stage in your life where you are acknowledging that there is more in this world. There's more than what meets the eye. There's more than what you've actually already experienced. And the piece to that that's interesting, that's coming in almost more as guidance or as a message, is more about being very intentional from the center of your own heart, because it is very easy to get lost or mixed up in ego dance, the mask dance. What does this look like? What is that? Da, 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 da. Really and truly, the era that we're stepping into, and this has a lot to do with Pluto moving into Aquarius, has a lot to do with the feeling sense. What does it feel like? What were you feeling in that moment? What was felt when the person said X, Y, Z? In the feeling sense is where you will find your truth. And so with you and what I'm seeing specifically in your field, it's like removing the layers of masking that is helping you to clear like an identity perception. We all receive these identity perceptions, the idea of who we are supposed to be in this world or who we think we are. And this evolution, this great awakening that's happening is actually, force is a harsh word, but it is really kind of pushing through that inner truth and that inner centeredness. And so even because you and I are here having this conversation, it's like it's giving more space for the consciousness of your heart to move through. And in the heart-centered alignment that is there for you is where you will find your true people. It is where you will align, let's even say with podcast guests, that will lead you into a deeper truth of harmony within. It will lead you into what is your true purpose, your soul purpose in this world. What is it that's going to bring you the most fulfillment, rather than leading you into a path that may look really nice, ooh, shiny, but will have a lack of depth and a lack of fulfillment. And so what I'm seeing for you, it's that there's like that deeper yearning for that fulfillment, that deeper yearning for that truth and purpose that is being revealed to you more and more. And a lot of it is because your heart is ready or your soul is ready. That ego unmasking, the releasing of the masks that we wear, the perceptions of reality that we want to show into the world, when that starts dissolving, it can be very confronting. We even have a name for it. It's called ego death. Some ego deaths can be gentle and some can be very confronting and earth-shattering. But ultimately, again, just through this conversation and through these words, it's choosing to focus on like dissolving egoic identities very gently and very easily that allow for more of that full embodiment of your soul's expression to come through.
What about dead people?
And what about?
Do you not see anybody dead? Like, does anybody of my ancestors, do you see any of my ancestors coming right now?
Would you like for me to specifically look for someone in particular?
My granddad.
Okay, and what's your granddad's name?
Hashem.
Okay.
Faramand.
I see he's like really ecstatic for you. He's like really, really happy for you. I actually see you like, I see him cheering you on, and I see that he's very happy about you like popping out of the field, like popping out of family patterns, that sort of thing. There's something that he did in his life that was like for that intention. It was like there was something very conscious within him and his movements about where he was in the world and what he did that was actually with the intention to anchor and plant like better life for his family. And so I'm seeing that he's like very ecstatic that that part of his life choices, because it was like a very big choice for him, it's like that he's very, very excited that it's working. And I do see him like he's like a guardian in full support of what you're doing. And will also, if you let him, will help to like put you in right place, right time. I do see that he's already been protecting you. He's been protecting you from certain people that don't align, we'll just say, shouldn't be in your field. So he's like clearing them out. It may feel like a disappointment for you, but I've always said that rejection is God's protection. So it's like whatever just isn't aligned, but he's a very solid and very clear ally with you for sure. If there's anything that I would say about this also, it's like just asking for a bit of space, because it's almost like he's in your aura, like he's living kind of vicariously through you in a sense. And so like asking for a bit of space of like reclaiming your sovereignty, being like, yep, I got it. This is my life. And yep, I see you. Thank you for your support. Thank you. Because one of the things with our spirit guides and guardians, especially when it comes to family, because codependency with family, you know how it goes, is that they actually are able to help when they have more of a bird's eye view. And when family, even like living family or whatever, they're so close to us, that they're so in our field, like we can't even, it's harder for us to identify who we are. And so there's like a little bit of that grace that will actually accelerate things for both of you, for him as a healing guide, because oftentimes when our loved ones pass, they have an opportunity to accelerate in their ascension as well. And that would also be why a family member kind of stays around as a guardian. Not so much that there's like unfinished business or that kind of stuff. We don't necessarily go down that road, but Yo siatria nyokyo huapu uku satra anyo wa wapu uku nuku. There's like a deeper ancestral lineage and clearing that's happening as well. Siotroa kiani kyoku kuku nuku. Yeah, it's about like harmonizing into sovereignty, but harmonizing in sovereignty together. You have any questions?
Can you let him know that, like, I actually feel that he has been protecting me, and I appreciate it?
He knows. You don't need me to say.
He knows.
You communicating, he feels, he senses, because he's there with you.
Yeah.
So when it comes, I'm so glad that you asked this, because so many people, I think, go to mediums to have them be the translator of messages. But it is your family. Mm-hmm. You have a closer line with them anyway, right? It's like if you have them on speed dial, I'm like, I have to get out the phone book, and I'm like, okay. But they're there with you, whether you feel like you feel it, right? Yeah. You feel his presence. He's with you.
Yeah.
So thank you. That's it. And he knows.
Yeah.
He feels it.
Because I know he's watching over me. He's my guardian angel.
Yeah.
100%.
For sure.
I know.
For sure.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
It's super fun.
Yeah. And do they get are we giving them stress, or are we annoying them by calling on them and speaking to them? No.
No, because when we step into death, when we step outside of our physical form and we go non-physical, time does not exist like it exists here. Like, he doesn't have a to-do list, and he's not busy, in the sense of we're like, oh, we're busy, it's finite, it's time.
No, but does it hurt the soul to be called upon?
No, it doesn't hurt the soul. But okay, great question. Okay. Let me ask you this. Have you properly grieved his passing?
I mean, it happened when I was 14. It was 20 years ago.
So have you let him go?
What does that mean?
So like, I'll share a personal story in that way. So when my great grandmother died, she died at 102 years old.
Wow.
At around 100, I'm like, you're good to go. Like, just telepathically communicating with her, because I walk between worlds. She was very Christian, and so there was like a lot of fear of death, of where do I go when I die, sort of thing. And so when she did end up passing, I was crying on my bed, as we do, and she like barreled into my room through the ceiling, and she was like, hey, she's like, I'm great. I'm like, I knew you were going to be great. I was like, isn't it so nice and light and beautiful? And she shared so many different stories, and she was like showing me where she is. And, it was just like this really beautiful, happy moment. So it's like, in that, I was grieving and I was letting her go on my human level of like, okay, I'm never going to be able to physically hug her anymore. But she's been my role model. She's been my idol. She's like, she was the type of woman, every single one of her great grandchildren at her funeral stood up there and said, I'm Mimi's favorite. She was that type of woman, right? And she became a guardian of mine in the sense that she helped me when I would pass Earthbounds or past spirits that had stuck. She would help me open the rainbow bridge, essentially. And she would have conversations with these beings, that were maybe confused. And so she would almost ambassador them on the other side. And so she and I started doing a lot of work together, but that was also part of her healing agreement. She also, when I was teaching my clients how to activate their own mediumship, I would introduce them to Mimi and they would connect with Mimi. And so it was a really beautiful thing. But there's so much that like your grandfather is getting out of it. It's like, it's a part of, it's even like you and I doing this podcast, right? It's like, it's a simpatico relationship. We're both feeling vibrant. There's a joy that's happening. Yay, what's going to happen after? It's kind of like that in the sense that when our guides are helping us, it's like, ooh, yay, what's going to happen? What's going to move forward with this? There's like an acceleration that's very enjoyable.
Why is it that you asked, have I grieved it?
Because the not letting go will keep someone trapped.
No. Like, letting go in terms of I don't accept that he's passed?
Yeah.
No, it's a part of life.
Right.
I'm very spiritual.
Right.
It's a part of life, of course.
Okay, so what I have experienced is that when a person passes and the people that are closest to them have not let them go, meaning they're still gripping on to their energy in a sense, it does hinder the transition process. Those souls aren't usually able to fully cross or fully transition. And it can create this like, kind of like, embargo is the word that's coming up to mind, but it actually creates like a limbo experience that can be very painful for them.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you have properly let go, or just anyone in general, if we've been able to fully properly let go of them and accept their passing, and we call on them, it's very different. Then it's like, I don't want to let go. I don't want you to be somewhere else. Like, that is where it can get a little bit dicey. Yeah.
That would, I feel, typically happen when somebody dies young from cancer or something. The family can't let go.
Suddenly, too. Yeah. Car accidents, unexpected, helicopter, like whatever it is. The unexpected deaths are usually when that happens.
Yeah. So is my granddad with me all the time? Every word I say, How do I speak there?
I'm seeing a yes, but that's where I'm kind of like, there's like a little bit of a codependent thing, right? Like, and sometimes it is important for us to create space. And even with healing guides or healing beings, like your aura is your auric field. It's very important for all of us to really claim sovereignty over our aura. There shouldn't ever be another person, another spirit, another anything inside our aura. That's it. It's sovereignty over our bubble, right? Now, sometimes we have cords of attachments and ways that we communicate with people, and some of them are relevant and important, and some of them need to be cut and all of this. With your grandfather, I do see like there is an element of him living vicariously through you that I don't see that it's necessarily hindering, but it is almost like a bit of a fusion that would be important to, again, like I said, create that separation. So for instance, I did a reading one time with a professional boxer, or rather his father kept coming to me. His father kept coming to me and sharing a lot of information, and I was going through a really challenging moment, and there were times where I felt his father come to me and like put his hand on my back and like help to heal my heart, and he would share a message with me about his son, and I didn't know his son very well, so it was like a very interesting you know, like as a messenger, sometimes it's like it feels like there's a lot of pressure. But what was really interesting is that I did meet with this boxer, and I said, there's moments in the ring where you go into full autopilot, and that's when your dad is there. Like, that's what, and he goes, oh my gosh, he pulled out his phone, he showed me his video, he's like this. And I was like, yeah, that's it. Like, you know, chills, the whole thing. But then part of what I was saying is like, yes, your dad's there as a guardian angel. He did die suddenly. It was a very interesting story. But it was like, okay, well, if he's bird's eye view, let's say he's at 100,000 feet above, then he can see right place, right time, this person, that person, that person, that person. If they're so close, it's even like with us, right? If we're looking at something so close, we can't always see what's going on. If we zoom out and we like allow ourselves to become the observer, it actually helps us even more. And so it's like that. And so as I'm sharing this with you, I see him also hearing the transmitted message, and he's like, okay, because he wants to be there helping the most, but it's also like a helicopter parent, right? Like the helicopter parent wants to help the most, but it can be like too much. And so it's when we back up that it actually allows for true growth to happen. There we go. So yeah, he's hearing that response now, and he's offering gratitude because he does want to help you the most. And he's like, okay, now I see it. Now I get it. So yeah, expect blessings.
What if I don't want him to go away?
He's not going to go away. Okay. It said he's not going to be in your aura.
Okay. What if I don't want him to do that?
Well, then you are part of the codependence.
I see. So this is the healthy way.
Because the thing is like you are able to evolve more without anybody else's energy in your field.
Yeah.
And he is able to evolve more without attaching to you. It's like a barnacle type of, and I don't mean that specifically with your grandfather, but it's even like in relationship, right? Like there's some people that can come together and they're very, very powerful together, but it's like they can get locked and stuck in, well, I can't move unless they move, I can't move it. But if you have two independent people that come together and they're independent together, and they're going, okay, I see you here, I see you here, I see you here, then there's like this evolution that allows for an uprising to really take place. Oh, yeah. And so it's like that. It's not that, well, okay, well, now that he's not in my aura, I'm never going to see him again. No, now because he's not in your aura, it's like allows for both of you to evolve even greater separately, but together.
Sure.
Like I've always said that I want people in my life, one, that want to be there. Not that feel that they need to be there, that are not obligated to be there. Like I want people to be there that want to deliberately choose to be in my life. And that it is, you know, it's like this. It's like, okay, we're here, but we're not so attached that we can't like see one way or the other or make a move without. It's like, okay, because to me, that's authenticity. It's a frequency match. And so if there's a frequency match, then to me, it's like there's more liberation in the movement of the mirror and the ebb and the flow and the movement. And it's true. It's authentic. It's not, it's a frequency match rather than a bond.
Well, let him know I miss him and I love him.
You can tell him.
Thank you for everything.
You can tell him.
How do I tell him?
Just tell him. You're telling me, but he's listening. So, okay. It's through your heart. Mm-hmm. Your heart is your
walkie-talkie.
Not by mouth? You don't have to.
No, I have to. Got
Like
it.
if you're, let's say,
Because he doesn't understand English. So him understanding you is not actually him listening to you, is it?
the frequency of your heart is going to be so much stronger than me saying anything. But okay, in spirit, it also is not about language, it's about frequency. So it doesn't matter if he doesn't understand what I'm saying verbally, because he's not listening with his mind, he's listening with his heart, which is why when I'm talking to you, I see him literally receiving the message and offering me a note of gratitude and going, okay, I get it, because there's an energetics about it.
Yeah.
And so the language of the heart is multilingual. Right? You're traveling, you speak to people that are not, that don't speak the same language, but it's like there's a telepathic energetic connection. You know if someone has good vibes, you know what a smile can do to disarm or connect, or it doesn't matter.
Mm. This is why you're top 5 in the world.
Yes.
Top 5 what? Psych?
Top 5 rated female psychic.
Top 5 rated female psychic.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
What an honor.
Yeah, that was by the American Federation of Certified Psychics and Mediums.
Yeah.
The guy who founded that got very sick the year that we did that. So there was never even another
one.
ranking. Yeah. Yeah.
So, you're not scared of death?
No.
No. What happens to us after we die?
Oh, I call it graduation day.
Uh-huh.
To me, I mean, honestly, that's a very loaded question because so many different things can happen. And again, it depends on the death. If it's a suicide, it's different. If it's a suicide with intention of purpose, also different. If it's a drug overdose intentionally, different. If it's a drug overdose accidentally, different. If it's someone that has died of natural causes in old age, different. If it's somebody that dies in a car accident unexpectedly, different. So it's like there's a lot of different things that can happen when we pass and when we go.
What happens when you suicide? Because I was told in Islam, they say your soul kind of gets stuck because your body's a gift from God and you harmed it, you destroyed it.
Mm-hmm. So very interesting. I believe that there's a lot of, this is quite complex. There are a lot of different factors that go into play. And it really depends on one, if the suicide was a sovereign choice. And what I mean by a sovereign choice is it really that life got so hard that you're not able to handle it? Or is it also that, let's say there's an entity attachment or an involvement of ill will from others? Is there mental distortion or emotional abuse going on, let's say from someone in relationship that is not clear on what's like the torment that's happening? So there's a lot of different facets. Also, is it a suicide with the intention of being a savior? Is it a suicide with the intention of thinking that you're doing something good?
So there's a judgment day.
I wouldn't call it that it's a judgment by a third party by any means. And I actually don't ever even really see that. And especially when it's like, well, God forgives us. I also don't necessarily believe, again, that it's a third party. It's that it is us. It's that, are we able to forgive ourselves? Are we the ones who are able to look ourselves in the mirror and really, truly, and honestly forgive us for anything that we have done? Mm-hmm. And if that is true and authentic, then whatever it is that has occurred is released, because it means that the lesson has been learned and the experience has been transmuted to light. So that's a very different thing. When a person, and I'll just try to simplify it, is that when a person kills themselves and takes themselves out of this world, their lessons are not complete. And so that's where unfinished business or that kind of limbo happens. But it's not always necessarily that they get into a stuck point. It's that their lessons are not done. So they don't really transition fully back to source. They still have to learn the lessons that they were trying to avoid through death. So it's still there.
If you die from cancer at a young age, was that your destiny, or is your lesson not done and you'll come back?
I believe that that's destiny. And same with children with special needs or people that are born with special needs. If you're around any of these, and this is also why I believe that the rate of special needs is increasing. Are there other factors at play? Food, toxicity in water, all the other things, blah, blah, blah. I believe that these bodies are very clearly linked to ascension on the planet, because if you are a part of anywhere near these communities, the amount of absolutely undeniable, true, unconditional love is so deeply felt that it is part of the ascension, because it teaches the values of love that are so intricate and so beautiful and so absolute and so true that like literally nothing else can be there. Because if there are people around them in the communities that are judging or laughing or mocking, it's like they don't get it, and they can't match the energy of that field. And so they can't be there. And so I believe that these souls come into this world with that intention. Now with cancer or early passings, sometimes I do see that it is karmic, and sometimes it is also in agreement by the whole family, parents included, to learn very specific lessons.
Wow.
Yeah. And it is, so that soul comes in with the intention to teach.
So that soul comes in with the intention to die early. So when they say genetic, it's not genetic, it's the soul's
I love that
purpose.
you said this. I love that you said this, because I think when it comes to the biology of genetics, there's something that is very, very clearly not seen in science. And it is that we have the genetics from mom and we have genetics from dad. But what is not taken into account is the soul blueprint. And the soul blueprint would be the soul that also is there in the spark of light of sperm meeting egg, the moment of conception, that spark of light that is, okay, the soul has just conceived and walked into the physical world for the first time. Well, for the first time in that incarnation, we'll say. So the soul itself comes with an extraordinary amount of encoding, which would be like my soul purpose has nothing to do with my parents in any way, shape, or form. If anything, my parents are like, what do we do with her? Like the whole psychic thing. They're like, are you serious? I'm like, yes. And so there's like the very interesting piece of genetics that is soul intent. And the soul contract and like what that whole thing is. And I also believe that those, specifically in families, that the parents that are bringing that experience in are also in agreement to it. It's just that we come into this world with complete amnesia. We make the contracts, we make the agreements, we set these things up to be a part of our life experience, and then we come into this world and we completely forget all of it. And so that's what my soul purpose and my natural encoding is to clear that amnesia.
So your soul blueprint.
Yeah.
And modern day science calls it genetics. Got ya.
They look at biology. They look at what is physical, what is tangible, what is measurable. And what I think is so interesting is that if science cannot measure it, then it must not exist. But to me, that makes no sense. As well as beliefs that are, well, your beliefs create your reality. Well, just because you don't believe something exists doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You can go la, 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 and pretend all day long that it's not there, but that doesn't change that it's there or not. And so to me, it's not to say that these are false truths, but it is to say that there is more. It's like that can be true, and also there's more. And I believe that we have not developed the technology to be able to prove a lot of these things.
Yeah. Because my cousin died from cancer at 39. And I always wondered, he never smoked, and he was healthy, and he was the sweetest guy.
Yeah.
He was like the diamond of the family.
Yeah.
Everyone loved him. If nobody had any connection to any of the kids, and you could choose any of the kids to be your kid, everyone would choose him first. Yeah. Right? And I was just wondering why. Why do they have to take the best, the gem?
I think it has a lot to do with lessons, and like I said, graduation day. So I had a friend that recently, she died last February. I always get a little teary when I talk about her. I'm still wearing her rings.
Do you talk to her?
It's interesting. Sometimes I feel her and sometimes I don't, because I feel that she is on a completely different mission, a completely different plane, and I let her do her thing. But the heart, the walkie-talkie in the heart is always still there, and the love is still there. she was like a psychic mom to me. So when I started really developing my abilities in my early 20s and being very outspoken about it, I never hid it. I got so much judgment, so much rejection, so much, we'll call it prosecution to be a little dramatic about it, but it really was. Like, I've had to face so much rejection and so much judgment. It's just so much BS that what's ironic to me isn't even the person that's judging. Like, they're judging based on their limitations and going, you can't do that because they don't believe that they can, which is a whole other thing that we can go into. But so my friend, when she was passing, and there were very clear other synchronicities also that brought me to her, to be there with her. I was grieving on my bed, again, as we do. And she came to me, but it was also the angels came to me because she was still in her body and she was managing a lot of energy for the family and all of this. I was shown very clearly that she was being restationed. They said this was part of her soul agreement when she came into the world. There were certain life experiences that she had had that were very necessary for her to come into this world and experience these things so that she could be close to the planet, but also like as an ascended being to help the evolution of consciousness actually transmute and clear these things. And it was specifically, I want to choose my words in this one. Specifically with what's going on with the children in underground circles, we'll say. And so there was some very interesting information, again, that it was like her soul had to come into this world to experience it in the physical reality to be able to help transmute that from the spirit realm. And that it was very important that she was, again, being restationed. So she didn't fully go back to source. She didn't fully go back home. It was that she had more work to do, but not in the body.
She was trafficked?
Not per se. Not per se. Okay. And it's not my story to tell, so sure. I'll kind of leave that. She was not specifically trafficked, but there was close enough experiences that she understood how it worked.
How did she die?
Cancer.
Okay. How old was she?
59, I think.
Okay. You know when they say the good die young?
Mm-hmm.
Is there truth to that? No.
I don't think so.
No, it's a soul contract or a soul.
Yeah.
Soul.
I think there's good people that live very long.
Yeah, soul blueprint or soul.
Yeah.
Okay, got ya. By the way, when you were speaking to my granddad before,
mm-hmm.
Can you see his face? Do you see his features or no? You just feel the soul?
Sometimes I'll see like them in an outfit.
Uh-huh.
But no, I mostly just see him.
Okay.
I don't necessarily see his face.
You don't say face?
Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. But here's the tricky thing is that people don't always look in the spirit world the way that they looked like as a human. Sometimes they'll show me exactly what they look like so that I can give the confirmation for the person that's receiving the reading to be like, oh yeah, that's him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's not. And sometimes I'll look at a person and see their spirit body and I'm like, whoa, they are completely different.
What did you see with my granddad? Did you see an outfit?
I saw like a light blue, I saw light blue energy. I saw a light blue shirt, and I did see like a bit of a belly.
Uh-huh. Like button shirt?
Like kind of like a polo.
Have you ever done an exorcism?
Yes. Many.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Is an exorcism when a demon enters your brain, your body?
So exorcism is like an extreme word. I would call them extractions.
Okay.
An extraction can, the need for an extraction can be so big that it can need to be an exorcism. And that depends on how integrated that soul has become into the body.
Okay.
That it was not, like that it didn't come through. So I believe one soul, one body. And there are many ways that we can allow other energies into our physical body that can cultivate and cause a lot of harm. And that often happens through traumatic experiences and can also happen by low vibrational substances that we put in our bodies. that leave us open and susceptible, especially in particular types of environments.
Low vibrational drugs is weed. I've heard weed is a low vibrational drug.
It doesn't help you. I'll just say that. If somebody is, let's say someone has cancer and they're not able to eat, weed's going to help numb, especially with radiation, that sort of stuff, and it's going to help give them an appetite. When it is used medicinally, it is a very powerful plant that can have a lot of benefits. If a person, it depends on the intention and why somebody's using it. If somebody has an addiction to it and is needing to, like, let's say smoke every day to just live, then it's a problem. It's masking a pain. And if it's masking a pain, that pain becomes a subconscious low vibrational frequency that does leave room or space for something to come into our field.
Question. Can you feel that if I have a demon? Exorcisms are done when somebody has a demon inside of them, right? You extract that demon.
Yeah, so the thing with the deal is like demon is a big word. Exorcism is a big word.
Okay.
Those are like the extremes of that. Possession, big word. It's very easy for us to get like low level entities, like low level Klingon parasitic attachments.
So it's not a demon. It's not like that.
Sometimes it is.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not fun.
And what is that? What is that?
It is an external consciousness that is basically embodied, let's just simply say, in dark codes, that is using a human being as a vehicle of expression. So to like plug into the human system and then almost like puppeteer them.
Is that not a soul like my granddad's soul? Is that just not an evil soul? No.
No, because it is with the intention. It's like with again, it comes with the intention. It's like the intention of malintent.
Okay, but what is that? For example, you spoke to my granddad, right? So good to hear from him. And then you have a demon. I know that's a harsh word, but I don't know what else to use.
Entities.
Entity, yeah. Dark entities.
Yeah.
So what's a dark entity compared to a soul like my granddad that you spoke to?
Again, it's intent. It's intent to cause harm.
So they're the same thing, they're the same soul, but one of them...
Different frequency,
okay.
Different intention.
Okay, so that different frequency soul,
yeah.
Was that somebody that had committed suicide?
I don't know, I don't think so.
Uh-huh.
I don't usually see them as like having been a human recently.
So you're saying it could be a soul from a tree? Or a dog?
This is an interesting question, actually, because I've done so many entity extractions and parasitic clearings, and I've like dabbled in this world a lot. It's rare that I see one that I'm like, oh, that is a misguided human that has been stuck for a while.
So a troubled dark entity, that's what I want to know. Why is that troubled? Why does that exist? Is it somebody that did suicide? Is it a dinosaur? Is it a crocodile? Is it an animal entity?
I mean, I would say that it is like the opposite of an angel. So there's light codes and there's dark codes. And in my world and in my life, like I've often said that I've been gifted with this opportunity to speak light codes and to embody light codes because I've also spent so much energy and time in the dark.
Okay.
And so with that, what's interesting is like, parasitic entities are everywhere. When we talk about spirits and alcohol, it comes from a rooted word that was like al-ghul something. So it like literally is allowing ghouls or entities, spirits to come into the physical form. This is why I don't drink and haven't for years. Alcohol specifically is a depressant, and it is also something that opens our field enough to allow these entities to kind of use our bodies as playgrounds. So why they're there or what they're doing or whatever it is, I'm going to have to go back and look at this. But ultimately what I know is that they're not there with the highest regard. So another thing around like, and again, this is just my own personal perspective around trance channeling or people that will leave their body and allow another entity or another being to come in. I personally have that ability, but I've chosen to not do that. I'm like, okay, speak to me from here, because I want to own sovereignty over my body, so that my body, my soul, this expression, one, is completely sovereign, because I believe that that is very, very important. And that if there is any information that needs to be transmitted, it can be transmitted through conversation. So again, it's like outside the body. Now, where these darker beings or beings with malintent come from is that they come from like wounding. Oftentimes, actually, I think this is a more important piece to this, is that it's not always that these entities per se, these external personalities, are actually external. When I started doing a lot of clearings with them, I realized that a lot of them are actually a very, very suppressed wound. And that deeply, deeply suppressed wound actually almost like creates a projection of a personality. It creates a projection of self that can be where and when the person starts acting out of character, but ultimately it actually is within their character because they're acting out of their wounding. And so it's not necessarily a separate thing. So more often than not, that's what I see them as. So it's not necessarily a darker thing. Do dark entities and demons exist? Yes, 100%. Do I honestly know fully where and why and how? Not particularly. What I just do is like, let's get them out of here sort of thing, to reestablish sovereignty and reconnect people to source consciousness that's bringing healing, love, light, ascension. Now, that being said, some of these darker beings or some of these dark entities are also a part of that purpose. So it's like, in order to be able to handle or navigate what happens when a demon is present, or a demon is in the room, or a demon is attached to somebody, or is manipulating a whole field of people's thoughts and intentions, it's like, well, what they're teaching us is our own sovereignty. You know, it's almost like we have to learn our own strength by being put in circumstances where we have to be strong. And so it's not even necessarily a battle. It's like there's a simpatico flow and evolution with what a lot of people would deem or shame as bad or dark or negative, or we don't want that, or this, that, or the other. For me, ultimately, what it comes down to is harm. Is this being, and it can even be a person, right? It's like, if a person is in your life causing harm, if a person is in your life continuing to pull you down, if a person in your life is not supporting your ideas or whatever it is, okay, then maybe we need to have a conversation and redirect, or maybe create some distance sort of thing. That to me is like similar with some of these entities, so to speak, but oftentimes it comes from wounding. So like when I'm helping someone clear, that's specifically what I focus on, is whether it is an external plug-in, or if it is a wound that is showing itself, how we deal with them is exactly the same. Kind of. There's one extra step with the entities. But ultimately, an entity cannot get into our field unless we allow it to come in. So on some level, conscious or subconscious, there's a part of us that ultimately allows it to come into our field that would then dictate our behavior, choices, and actions.
And how would you let one in? Like if I go to a synagogue, or if I go to a church, or if I go to a mosque, if I go to a ceremony in Africa, is that inviting something to be attached to me?
Interesting question. It's like yes and no, but it depends on if you go into that space and you open yourself up with the intention of letting something in.
So you'd have to go with the intention of letting something in.
Yeah. It's like if you're going to one of these places and let's say you're on your knees in prayer and you're like, please help me. Like I'm feeling desperate. I'm feeling guilty. I'm feeling full of blame. I'm feeling shameful. Please, something come help me, but it's not of the highest light. And let's say there's like an entity that's hanging out in the rafters just waiting for that prayer, and they'll just like pop right in. Because it's not to say that these places that are holy are clear of these, are clear fields.
Yeah. What if I go to a cemetery? Do they linger in cemeteries?
Why are you hanging out in cemeteries?
Just catching up with my friends.
I hang out in cemeteries often. So not often.
What do you do with cemeteries?
What do I do in cemeteries? I see if there's any Earthbounds that have unfinished business that need to be, like, I go there and I do work. I kind of do like counseling with some of the beings that are there. Some of them I just ask questions. Some of them just want to hang out and chat. But, like, I don't know. I go there curiously.
Wow. How often?
I mean, it's been a while. There's one particular city that I enjoy going to the cemetery, but I also like going to the cemeteries in certain places because I believe that they hold a lot of history codes.
Oh.
Like, there's a lot of information in cemeteries that often gets overlooked.
Of course. Imagine being able to do that. Imagine being able to go to Germany and talk to people that died in the Holocaust and getting information. Like, what was it like?
It can be a lot, man. It can be a lot.
Yeah.
It's not always super pleasant.
No, I get it. Of course.
Because sometimes, like, especially, okay, Holocaust, a lot of these people died in sheer rage and sheer terror. And so the imprints of those frequencies are still in the field, and that sheer rage and that sheer terror will keep these beings locked in that space.
Wow.
Whereas, like, let's say, and this is absolutely horrific.
So they're double fucked. Not only did they get killed, but their soul is also disturbed.
Yeah. Again, this comes from malintent. The people that were causing this were coming from an absolute wretched place of malintent. Literally, their entire intention was to cause harm, to cause hurt, to cause pain, to cause chaos.
Let's say you're a big Michael Jackson fan and Michael Jackson dies. Would you sit in your room and call upon him to speak to him?
No.
Could you?
Yeah. But I don't want to.
Let's talk to Michael Jackson.
I don't want to.
Come on.
There's too much there.
I see.
Yeah.
What does that mean there's too much there? There's too many people calling for him?
No. It's too much of a loaded energy. There was so much speculation around his death, who he was, what was going on in his life. And now you have all these rings around P. Diddy coming up, and you also have these rings around LA and fires and all of this. Like, it's a very loaded topic. So in that case, like, I wouldn't even want to touch into that and allow that consciousness to come into my field. And even because we're talking about it, it's already kind of there. But it's like, there's so much information there that I'm like, I would rather focus on other things.
You've never called upon a celebrity that you were a big fan of?
No.
No. Muhammad Ali?
Mm-mm.
Wow. Wow.
It's only really like why, you know, like, why would I do that?
I mean,
there's a lot of people that, like, I meet and they're like, what am I thinking? And I'm like, why? Like, all respect and love, but why would I care? And why would I go into a room and try to figure out what everyone is thinking? Do you know how much information that is to process? Because it's not just what they're thinking, it's why they're thinking it. What emotion is it tied to? What entanglement are they having with other people in a relationship? That, like, it's not just like, oh, just one thing comes in. No, it's the whole string of this whole thing. It gets overwhelming.
Yeah.
I used to do it in planes.
Oh, wow.
I did. And then I was like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
And read people's minds and energies.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I was like, I'm good on that.
I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just imagine this. Were you born with this gift?
Yeah.
And are your parents like this?
No.
No, so it's not inherited.
I do believe it is inherited. My mother, let me take that back. My mother is, I believe my father is, I believe my father's mother, my grandmother, I'm very close with her. She was, and I believe that my Mimi was. Now, my family was also raised very Christian, and in the Christian theology and religion, the gift of prophecy, reading, communicating with spirits, is doing the work of the devil. I believe that's a complete inversion. I believe that's to keep people away from their own personal power and to keep people away from their own personal truth. You'll find it across all sorts of different religions. That to have these abilities is a big no-no. And what's so interesting to me is that I feel closer to God having accepted myself fully in the way that I was born and designed than I ever did in any type of theology. But that doesn't mean that I don't explore these theologies. I think there's a lot of very important wisdom and information in these theologies across the board that we can all glean a ton of information from. But ultimately, what I believe it comes down to for me in my relationship with spirit is like, how good do I feel with myself? Like, am I really in integrity? And it's not, it goes like a step beyond the golden rule. It's like treat others the way that we would want to be treated. But it's also like, like treat ourselves in the way that like we would treat God, that we would treat our own creator in that sense, because when we're doing that, I feel that that's the highest honor that we can do and be and embody and glean. And so there's like a full respect to actually following one's own design and creation. Like that's what I believe that we came here to do. And I believe that a lot of religions has put the lid on that in a lot of ways, especially over women.
A lot to dissect there. So, is there a devil? Is there a heaven and hell?
I mean, look around. It's here.
Some places are hell.
We create our own heaven and we create our own hell.
But when we die, is there a heaven and hell? Or no,
there's another place.
It's more another place, and there's more disturbed souls, and there's more non-disturbed souls. That's what it is.
It's a frequency match. It's a frequency match no matter where you go, whether you're in the body or you're out of the body. It's a frequency match.
How would you imagine someone evil's soul to be like? Like, let's say Hitler, or let's say whoever. What would happen with his soul? Would he become a demon?
It's a great question. That's not one that I have a lot of information with, because again, I haven't tuned into or tapped into what that would be. And again, it's quite complex. I don't think it's just heaven and hell, to be honest. And that comes from a lot of communicating with spirits that have transitioned and have passed. And it is quite complex. So one that I actually do feel that I have personal like experience with, because I have already read, was when I was learning to develop my abilities, we would practice reading people. Like we'd actually get names and practice reading people that we had no tie, no connection to. And it was really interesting. Actually, I gleaned a lot of information from this. At one point, I was going to a lot of protests against Monsanto.
What's that?
Monsanto is a company in the United States that does a lot of genetic modifying of foods, specifically wheat, corn, and soy. That's basically in everything. So it becomes a neurotoxin in our bodies. It causes a lot of cancer. It causes all sorts of issues. So I was protesting at the time. And so I decided in one of our like assignments to read the CEO of Monsanto. And I forget who it was at the time. I don't even know if it's the same person. But what I saw when I went into connection, because it's a telepathic communication, it's a telepathic connection. So I wouldn't have been able to connect in with that person if on some level, again, there wasn't some type of consent to access their information. What I saw was almost that it was like he felt very, very trapped, and almost like he was trapped in a dungeon. And it was on a soul level. And so what was very interesting is like, as I was connecting with this soul, it was like there was a barrier, like a dungeon type barrier image that I was seeing that was around him. And he was like, I'm in too deep, like I don't know how to get out, sort of thing, of like what had been created and what had been designed. And so when we look at like what's going on the planet right now, right, it's like we have people, we have government officials, we have politicians, and we can see, and we have world organizations that we can see maybe don't have our own greatest intent at heart or in mind, right? There's quite a bit of misinformation and malintent going on with the populace. The irony of it is that it's waking people up left, right, and center. And there are people who are still very much under this spell, who cannot see their way out of it. So for me, it's like, okay, well, it's not about the politicians. It's not about the individual politicians. So who is it? Like, what's controlling them? And people go, oh, well, it's the people with money. I go, okay, so back up even more. Who's controlling them? And they're like, what's going on here? And so when we look at this planet in more of a multidimensional way, that the third dimensional is what we see here, taste and touch. But when we start to expand beyond that and we start to go, okay, There are a lot of beings that are out here that are beyond light and dark and angels and demons, that we then start going into like star families and different consciousness of different, let's say, galaxies or planets that have a stake in Earth. Like what is going on this planet is very, very heightened, and there's a lot of attention on this planet right now. That's why there's a lot of conversations about disclosure and ships that will start being seen. Well, the thing is that those of us who can connect beyond the physical, so 5D, 7D, 9D, all these spaces in between as well, it's that, yeah, we're like, of course, it's coming. It's been here the whole time. In fact, it's here all the time and has been here since the beginning. Again, it's the amnesia and the block on that consciousness that goes, well, I can only see into 3D, so that's all that's there. Well, like when I started channeling light language, within that week, my periphery of connecting to beyond the Milky Way galaxy, other galaxies, other spaces, my soul memories started coming online of different planets, galaxies that my soul has been to. I saw Earth surrounded by all sorts of different ships that are here witnessing, watching. Again, it comes to free will. These beings are not able to interact with us unless we give them permission on some sort of way, and that can happen collectively. So part of the consent, okay, we're gonna go there real quick. May not be real quick. One of my own, I'll call it part of my own book of theories, is that part of the reason we are collectively taught not to look at black magic is because there is a lot of black magic that's happening in this world that's controlling a lot of people. If people do not know what black magic is, they don't know how to identify it. Once you are aware enough of what black magic is and how it can manipulate people, you can start identifying it very clearly and very easily, and to see how it is really controlling a lot of people. And it's almost like putting them in a spell. And so when people start waking up, what that actually means is that the information that is intrinsic to them on a soul level from the core of their being is starting to wake up and come online to their conscious mind. And so that piece right there is massively important, and where we're at a tipping point in this world right now.
So you're saying potentially governments could be doing black magic en masse to control people?
Very much so.
Wow.
Yeah.
On a mass level. And how would they be throwing black magic on us?
One, with the news. I think the news is the easiest way to explain this. So basic psychology. I think it's Ivan Pavlov's classical conditioning. You ring the bell, give the dog a treat, ring the bell, give a dog a treat, ring the bell, don't give a dog a treat, but the dog's mouth starts salivating by the tone of the bell. Think about news, think about sports. Those little jingles, dee-lee-lee. News is coming back on, dee-lee-lee. Game's coming back on. You're literally programmed. You're programmed through this sound mechanism that goes, okay, what's the next thing? Hits of endorphins, hits of cortisol, hits of adrenaline, hits of, you literally, same with the phone, right? We get a ding, spike, dopamine. Okay, so we get addicted to these things. The connection of the addiction to them that pulls you in is exactly that. So news specifically is programming. They're literally programming you with a set of information that they want humans to be embodying, repeating, literally regurgitating, and not thinking for themselves. So that's, I think, the easiest one to just go, that's how that works.
And if you don't watch the news, because they've polluted enough brains, it becomes almost contagious, and other people, you kind of catch it from other people.
Well, I wouldn't say that it's caught. It's that that frequency then becomes a massive part of the collective unconscious. And so that massive part of the collective unconscious, so it's kind of like this. Again, I'm from the States, so I'll give examples that I understand from that. We had the Black Panther movement come through Marvel. The Black Panther movie come through Marvel. What was right after that? Black Lives Matter movement, huge protests. We had Wonder Woman come out. What was right after that? The Pussy Marches, a lot of female protests. The last Avatar. Did you see this one? It broke my heart to witness and see. What comes next? Maui burns down. Santa Rosa burns down. LA burns down. It's like, what is coming first? The piece of the collective consciousness that's actually programming and creating this in the reality? Or is it also part of the consent of the script? Because if you consent, you buy the movie ticket, you're giving them consent. So that's how this kind of works. Black magic or magic of any sort cannot work on another person unless consent has been made. Meaning that, like, let's say you meet someone or whatever and they decide they want to put a hex on you, they're not able to unless you give some sort of agreement to it.
I see.
That's the same way healing works. So like if I have a friend, let's say, that has an entity or something like that, I'm not going to go and just be like, oh, I see it, let me clear it. One, because it creates karmic attachments for me. It can then become my issue and I don't want to do that, especially by and large. But if I see a friend that has an entity, I'm like, hey, I see this thing going on. 9 times, I would even say 95 times out of 100, they're like, oh yeah, this is how it shows up. I've been battling it for a while. I don't know how to get it out. Please, yes, and thank you. And so by that, it's the consent to clear it out.
Got you.
So there has to be some type of consent. So when it comes to black magic, the consent is in the terms and conditions. It's in the buying the movie ticket. It's in purchasing the product. It's the exchange of money that is the reciprocity of what that is.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Do you see any attachments to me?
Do you feel that you have any attachments?
Do I feel? Do attachments naturally go away themselves sometimes?
Sometimes.
Because I didn't sleep for a while. I didn't have a good night's sleep for about 6 months, and I felt like there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see it.
And it just naturally went away.
And it just naturally went away. And I'm like, why am I never getting a good night's sleep?
Yeah.
And sometimes I would feel at night something would just like grab like that, my ankle. And I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And it just went away.
It went away.
What did you notice happened when it went away?
I didn't notice anything, but I mean, my mum is really into, heavy into this stuff. And one of my questions actually is, what is it that we can do actively every day to cleanse ourselves from anything like that? What my mum would do was give me a big bowl of water that has salt in it.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the shower, you pour that on yourself and you come out, leaving the salt on your body.
Yeah, salt is actually a really, really good balancer, especially like swimming in the ocean. Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Really good. Some of them get in like really big time though, and salt isn't going to be enough. If you're having sleepless nights and you're feeling something on your foot, yeah, chances are you've got something going on. So in September, I actually led an entity clearing masterclass, and we had 200 people in the class, like over 100 plus showed up live. And for me, it was like a huge psychic milestone, like whoa, like, thank you, Spirit. I'm honored. But the initiations for me to get to that point to lead that class were challenging. They were not fun at all. Yeah. Again, I'm like, thank you. I feel honored, but I feel like I'm getting my ass kicked. Yeah. And what was really interesting is there was a woman that was in that class, and she had had sleep paralysis and night terrors for years. She said since she was young. She shared a note in our group and said that she was celebrating 3 weeks of 0 nightmares, 0 sleep paralysis after doing that class. Wow. So the way that I do that essentially is I just work with extraordinarily high frequencies. It's kind of like, have you seen those mouse things that it's like a sound frequency and you can put it around the house, but we're tone deaf to it? It's such a high frequency that we can't hear it, but the mice do. Yeah. It's kind of like that. It's like if you bring in a frequency that's so unbelievably high, an entity cannot attach to it, it'll just spin right out. So you don't always need an exorcism. You don't always need someone else to help you with it. You don't always need something like this. When I get these little, I call them like little Klingons, because sometimes it's just like, oh, how annoying. They're just like little leeches. They're like low level, like, sort of things. It's usually because I put myself in a circumstance where I'm having, I'm moody. I'm a Cancer. I'm a highly sensitive woman. I get moody sometimes. And I'm like in a public environment, or let's say I'm at a bar or a show where people are drinking because I love live music. I'll come home and sometimes I have these little Klingons, but it's also because I know how to transition them. And so I think there's a part of my encoding that's like, they're like, oh, we get to go home. And so they'll like jump onto me, which is very frustrating. I'm really doing a lot to actually clear that. But it's also, it only happens because I lowered my field. I lowered my frequency. So if I'm beaming and I'm high and I'm like with my girlfriends and we're having a good time, it does not even come close to happening. It's like if I'm, like going through something or I'm in a weird field, then it happens.
And how do you get rid of it? What's something everybody should do regularly to cleanse?
Daily cleansing practices. Like, in the same way that we shower. Sage can work. I'm old fashioned in the sense that I would prefer to teach people to raise their vibrational frequency on their own than to use anything external. Because when I had a life implosion, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And so I ended up going to Bali thinking I would be in Bali for 2 months. And I just brought the absolute bare minimum. I didn't bring any crystals. I didn't bring any oracle decks. I didn't bring any of my like usual tools. I think I brought my most basic yoga clothes. I ended up being there for 2.5 years.
Wow.
That's a whole other story. But
where, Canggu?
All over Bali. Okay. 2.5 years. The villa prices were like a third. It was great.
Okay.
But so in that time, I went like full minimalist.
How do you not know where Perth is? Perth to Bali is 3 hours. Mm-hmm. Perth to Sydney is 5 hours. So most of the people in Bali are from Perth. You never met anyone from Perth?
I met a lot of people from
Australia.
Melbourne.
Okay.
I did meet some from Perth, but most were Melbourne.
Okay, so you know the Perth. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. And so with that, the teachings for me were specifically around trusting myself and trusting my own channels, not giving power to cards, not giving power to crystals, not giving my power away in any sense of the word. And I think it really strengthened my abilities and strengthened my connection to myself. And so when it comes to, okay, what do we do in a daily hygiene practice? One, if you do not want dark energy coming into your field, don't let it. Like, it's that simple. Don't let it come into your field. Sometimes it has to do with clearing codependent, people-pleasing. Empaths are often very codependent because we had to learn to be codependent in childhood in order to survive. Mm-hmm. Empaths are people that had an unpredictable parent, one or both, very unpredictable emotionally, and we had to be in a constant state of almost like hypervigilance by means of survival. Mm. Is this person going to blow up? Is there going to be something that happens? So we tune in a hypersensitivity to the field, but then we learn to be people pleasers so as to not rock the boat. And so oftentimes healers that are people pleasers will stick around, not hurt someone's feelings, and almost like leave themselves susceptible. Mm-hmm. So it's very important to have very clear, very healthy boundaries, the ability to communicate that. One, communication, like a lot of the things that would protect you aren't as woo-woo as people think. It's literally use your words, set your boundaries, set your frequency, set your tone, and practice daily cleansing. Just keep yourself in a very high vibration. If you keep yourself in a very high vibration, these things aren't going to get to you. Now, if they do get to you and you have a circumstance, one, I always recommend just listening to the Entity Clearing Masterclass because it's the easiest way to just like take care of it. And not only that, it educates you so that it doesn't happen again.
Is that on YouTube?
No, that is a paid course.
Okay.
It's big information.
Okay.
Big information I don't put on YouTube.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I do actually have I think there are 2 meditations that I do have on YouTube that are specifically focused to entity clearings.
Okay.
It was not intended that, but I started doing a meditation and then I was like, oh, we've got some entities to clear. And so I was like, hold the grid. Those of you that don't have them, like hold steady. Thank you for holding the field. We're going to help our friends over here, like do some serious purging.
Yeah.
And so I do have 2 meditations that are on YouTube in that way. So you could Google that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a Ouija board?
Yes. One time with a group of 6 psychics.
And is it real? Is a Ouija board real?
I believe that a Ouija board is real.
Yeah.
But again, it's giving your power to something external. I personally don't align to that.
Because you're almost also opening yourself up to have an attachment. When you open a Ouija board, you're opening up a window to get an attachment, no?
No, and that's the misconception around this, is that a Ouija board is basically a form of communication. It doesn't have to be light. It doesn't have to be dark.
But a form of communication, isn't that a window for them to get to you? And then stick onto
Yeah,
you?
but the window is already open anyway. Like, you don't need a Ouija board to open it.
I see.
With the Ouija board, you're setting the intention to open a communication with spirit, but that's like, I mean, I guess I'm a medium, so I don't see the point. I'm like, just call them. Like, just set the intention, you know, because it's all coming through our thoughts. It's all coming through telepathy anyway.
Yeah.
So a Ouija board is basically a way to like put it into action, you know, letter for letter sort of deal.
Yeah.
I do believe that they are real. Do I believe that charlatans are also out there? Yeah, I do.
What's a charlatan?
Somebody that's faking it.
Okay.
Someone that's pretending to have abilities that doesn't have them.
Got ya.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be that.
Same with lawyers, same with doctors, same with actors, same with anybody.
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 Correct.
Yeah.
Let's talk about sex. Have you ever had sex with someone and afterwards you just wanted to clean the house, take a shower, that was such bad energy?
Yeah.
What is that? Do they have an attachment and they're bringing their attachments with you to sleep in the same bed?
But the only way that those circumstances have also ever happened is if I lowered my field. Like that person, in the same way an entity, that person was only in my field or my energy because on some level I let it. So I don't drink anymore. When I was younger, I drank a lot. I definitely had those experiences, you know, being young and dumb and whatever. But also those experiences really helped me clean up my act.
Mm-hmm. Can you protect yourself from that energy if you wear a condom? Or no, it doesn't make a difference?
I actually believe that you can. But at that point, like, you're kind of splitting hairs, like, because through sex, I do think a condom actually does a lot to prevent that type of connection. But at that point, if like you are in this very powerful sexual energy with somebody else and you are connecting in that way, then the energetics of it aren't necessarily physical. Okay. And so if you're allowing that energy to merge, but you're like afraid that someone has an entity, and so you're like, can you please use a condom? Like what are you doing anyway? Like, let's just reverse and be like, hang on.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
You don't know. You don't know if they have an entity. It's more like,
if somebody's energy gives you the heebie-jeebies, do you know what heebie-jeebies are?
Yeah.
I said heebie-jeebies recently and someone had no idea, and I like had to explain it.
No.
I also recently had to explain what shenanigans were to a non-English speaker.
Wow.
And I was like, how do I define this?
Banter. I don't know. Use those shenanigans.
It was a funny conversation.
Yeah.
But like, if somebody's energy, like, let's say you can't see into the quantum grid, your third eye is completely closed and you can't see these things. Okay, so how do you detect that somebody has an entity? The easiest way for me, and usually the first indicator, is if I'm around this person and I'm feeling dizzy and I'm feeling weird and I'm feeling off kilter and I'm feeling like something is like trying to poke into my auric field, that's when I'm like, we have an issue. Like, we've got an issue here. That is usually an indicator.
Okay.
So recently I had a friend that was playing cards with a group of friends. And he said he had to get up from the table because he just had this like really icky, creepy feeling. And I was like, yeah, because so-and-so had an entity. That's what that was. And he was like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah. That's why I don't like being around him either, you know? And it can get a bit annoying because your circle gets smaller when you start paying attention to this, but it's worth it because your circle's smaller, full of people that are conscious and clean and clear and aware of how their energy is affecting the room and space and that sort of thing.
Drake has a line, he says, I've been cutting out people and finding peace. That's a fair trade to me. So that's what it is. You're finding your peace. Going back to demons, do you see any attachments on me? Do you see any demons on me?
You keep asking this.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think this is the third time that you've asked.
Wow. Losing my brain right now.
Which is usually an indicator that it's a yes.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't really want to tune into it because I don't particularly want to go into like a full-blown entity extraction kind of experience right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes.
I would say yes. I don't see that it's like a big, huge, harsh thing. Like I said, there's like some that are just kind of low level, like they like suck your life force energy, but they're not necessarily like full blown demons and it's full blown possession. It's usually, like I say, sometimes they're just like Klingons.
Like a pesticide. Something small. Okay. As bad enough as you need to do a proper exorcism, or shower, salt, beach should be enough?
Probably a little bit more. Probably a little bit more than that. But it's because it's this. I see where it is and I see where it's plugged in. It's plugged into your root chakra and back of your sacral. It's like root chakra is usually survival. So here's the other freaking thing about entities is that they can be genetic. They can be passed down through the ancestral line. And that's when they're like more deeply ingrained into our system. And again, this is where it's like, it doesn't, if we don't focus on, ooh, it's an entity and it's like scary and creepy and all these things. And we go, okay, where is it plugged into? Because it's the access point. It's how did it get in? Once you clear that, it's not going to come back. So again, like breath work can really help with this, but breath work, you also have to be careful because if you're in like a big space with breath work and the facilitator is not trained in this kind of stuff, this is why I have a huge bone to pick with the whole breath work thing, is that when you're activating people's pineal glands and DMT is activating and they're clearing a lot of stuff and they're activating their trauma and they're activating their wounding, like entities can start popping out, but it can be very easy for them to just like pop onto somebody else. So if you come out of a breathwork session and you feel more foggy, more clouded, more disoriented, that's usually probably an indicator that something happened. And it's not just like, oh, it's just the integration phase. Like you'll be fine, drink some water. No, like, or going into medicine ceremonies where the people who are hosting it are musicians and they're not shamans. Like if you ask me when it comes to breathwork is one of the most spiritually activating things that we can do. That's why it's so powerful and that's why it works so well. But if these people that are facilitating it don't have the understanding or information as to what to do, one, if somebody has a massive psychological trauma that comes up or also has an entity that's being cleared and they don't know what to do with it, I would second guess that in those sessions. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say that as full blanket because I also believe that in breath work, people can only go as far as the facilitator can hold. So there's also that. There's kind of like an energetic self-regulation in it. I just think there needs to be a lot more awareness in those communities and circles.
I agree. Because I did one and I did it with a whole group of people. And yeah, I was like, what you explained makes sense.
Yeah. I had one woman come over to me. She obviously was not a healer and just started pushing on my stomach. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, can you please go somewhere else? And also, I did not give any consent to this at all. And now I have to clear all of the things that you just pushed into me. Like, I was like really not okay with it.
Yeah.
At all.
Are our ancestors trying to get in touch with us constantly?
No.
No.
So day one of the Entity Clearing Masterclass, we actually did a whole bridge of walking our ancestors home. Because I believe that our ancestors hold a lot of wisdom and they also hold a lot of trauma. But if they are constantly trying to like get in touch with us, and this is also why I don't like call on the ancestors all the time. Because I'm like, let the ancestors be in their dimension, let the ancestors be in their timeline, let the ancestors be in their thing. Like the information that you're holding in the encoding of your DNA is enough. Mm-hmm. Like we don't need to be constantly calling in all these external consciousness. Mm-hmm. To me, it's like, not necessary. And so in some ways that was part of the entity clearing was, okay, we do not have to carry the wounds of our ancestors in through this life and in through this life and in through this life and in through this life, because that generational hatred is passed down, right? Racial discrimination is passed down. It's learned behavior. So in that sense, let's walk the ancestors home. Let's walk their wounds home. Did a lot of horrible atrocities happen in this world? Yes, 100%. And we're not going to come together holding on to and clinging on to that pain and those woundings of never forget, justice needs. It's like, yes, I get it. It's unfortunate. It's extraordinarily painful. It's very unpleasant. And simultaneously, when we choose that we are rewriting different stories, we get to choose that we are rewriting different stories. And so it's honoring the ancestors. It's honoring their experiences. It's honoring their wisdom. It's honoring their pain. It's truly seeing them. It's truly listening to them and truly hearing them. And also saying, and this is my life. Mm-hmm. I get to choose to live my life in the way that is unique to me. And it is, I honor you, I see you, I adore you, and I'm here to, live my life in an honored way for you as well, and simultaneously, your burdens are not mine to carry.
That also comes to attachment. Your ancestors could be attached to you. And then what you said before, my granddad was a little bit too close and there was a little bit of overlap, right? Would my granddad be an attachment?
It's possible.
Yeah.
And that's why like when I'm communicating to you and I see him going, thank you for explaining that. Like, thank you for explaining that. He ascends, you ascend, you both have your sovereignty, and then you actually are stronger working together. It's interdependence rather than codependence.
Got you.
The codependence is, well, I'm not going to make a move without you. The interdependence is, hey, I've just made this move. Do you want to come along? Sure, let's go. You know, it's like a different kind of necessity. It's not saying, well, I need to do this hyper independently on my own and please don't interact or interfere. It's like a different type of thing where the codependence is coming, from like a hyper bond, but the interdependence is, again, it's a frequency match. Let's move together. Let's choose to move together in a very sovereign way.
And would that still be an attachment? Moving together in a sovereign way?
It's an agreement.
It's an agreement.
Yeah.
So that attachment, okay. Would that be an attachment though?
Think of it like you're playing tug of war or you're playing basketball.
Got ya.
Yeah.
Got ya. Makes sense. I'm just trying to dissect everything you just said because you blew my brain, to be honest with you.
Okay, can I jump in here
please
say, okay, yeah, you're in your mind.
Yeah.
Can we spend a moment and just be in our hearts? And and just because again, I often say I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. I'm just awakening wisdom within you. And some of what I'm saying may resonate. Some of what I'm saying may not resonate. Some of what I'm saying may be a light bulb moment later. It's like connecting to that spaciousness within your heart that allows for instantaneous integration. And then again, connecting root chakra, base of spine, all the way down to the center of Gaia. Allowing everything that can be released to let it all fall away.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
Yes.
So that my granddad's soul, has that not been reincarnated to something else in a different world? So how is that soul still there speaking to me? Is that not out there somewhere?
Again, time and space is very different. And if we think of reincarnation as actually parallel realities and parallel lifetimes, then the logic and linear form of how we think things should be doesn't really apply.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Do trees have souls?
Spirits.
Spirits?
Consciousness.
Trees have consciousness?
Yeah. Plants have consciousness. Yeah.
What's the difference between a plant, a spirit, and a soul?
Okay, so when your soul leaves your body, you die. When your spirit leaves your body, you're astral traveling.
Your
astral traveling,
okay,
remote viewing,
okay,
your spirit and an aspect of your consciousness can leave, but you're not dying. When your soul leaves your body, you die. So it's like the core of life would be in that. So does a tree have a spirit or does a tree have a soul? That's kind of like splitting hairs. Maybe a tree has a completely different word that we don't know of. That is the consciousness that is the tree. But do the trees have wisdom? Do the trees have life? Do the trees have like that spark of divine consciousness? Of course.
Are you a vegetarian?
No.
Do you eat meat?
Yes.
Is that bad? We're eating a dead carcass of something that had a soul?
Yeah, so same with plants.
Same with plants?
Same with plants. So when I was I'm blood type O, which is carnivore. I have battled with that because I have had a plate of meat in front of me and overthought the whole thing and the whole process and just got wildly disgusted and was like, I can't do this anymore. So I have tried to push that envelope multiple times. And at about 3 months, I get into such a state of fatigue that I almost need to go to the hospital. In fact, one time this actually did happen. And I'm like, okay, do I need to go to the hospital? Something's really off. And then I just got this intuitive ping, look up iron deficiency. So I Google search iron deficiency. I look up all the symptoms. I'm like, check, 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 shoot. And then I get, you need to go eat some meat. So I was living in downtown LA at the time, and I had Whole Foods on the block. So I went down there, got some meat, ate it. Within literally 2 minutes, it was like, okay, vitality came back to me. I have tried to push that envelope so many times. And I think there's just something with my blood type O biological composition that I'm just not made for that. And so I've done fruitarianism for a month. And when I got my cycle during that month, all I could do sitting in meditation was see a piece of steak. It was like red meat, like your body needs red meat. And I heard from my guides, like, look, we understand what you're doing. We understand why this is a whole thing. And also simultaneously, we just want you to know that your biology isn't necessarily ready for this. So it's just important for you to accept that you need to eat meat. Now, when it comes to that, are there issues with factory farming and the treatment of animals? Yes, absolutely. And also when I was a little girl, I was just kind of one of those like knowings that I had this understanding that animals are here to be a part of our journey and a part of like the cycle of life with us. Like you look at nature, you look at the cats, like lions and tigers, and it's like there is this carnivorous element of nature that's there. And I know there's so many battles between like, well, humans, but I do think that there are a lot of different DNA types within human beings, and that there are a lot of different blood types and a lot of different just nutritional differentiations. Like, is a carnivore diet good for everybody? Probably not. Is a vegan diet good for everybody? Probably not. And there are people that would argue 100% it's good for everybody. So it's like, there's so much.
It's not a sin to eat something that used to have a soul or a spirit.
I don't think so. And I also think that, one, I don't believe in sin, but the other thing is that it's like, also, if you're blessing your food before you eat it and grounding your food and acknowledging that there was an animal that participated in their life to fuel and nurture yours, then to me, like, I offer blessings and gratitude and thanks for that.
Okay, so you bless your food before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are you religious?
Mm-mm.
Do you subscribe to any religion?
Mm-mm.
Do you believe there's a God?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think, what are we? Are we just a mold that's growing somewhere?
No.
Do you have a theory about that, or is something you don't know?
No.
Are
we just a mold that's growing somewhere?
Yeah, like we're an ecosystem, right? Our solar system and everything, we're just this ecosystem mold in the corner of a door somewhere.
No.
Do you ask spirits or souls, what are we?
What do you mean?
Like, when they graduate and they go into the next world, they probably have more answers than us. What are we? What is this? Have you ever asked that question? Like, what are we? What is this?
We have access to all information that is universal in all ways and all forms within us. We are all that is. Like, what is within us is literally all that is. The confusion is that humans have gotten so disconnected from that they don't know how to access that information. But that information is within us. So we are everything and nothing existing simultaneously.
You got the Earth, then you got a solar system, then you got the Milky Way, then you just zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. But what is this? What are we?
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, have you spoken to someone from the other world of what is this?
Mm-hmm.
What are we? What is this whole thing?
The whole thing is in like the whole universe, the whole experience of expansion.
No, like what is it? Like what?
Creation. It's creation experiencing itself. It's creation for the sake of creation. It's creation for the sake of learning. It's a creation in the sake of ascension. It's creation in the sake of gathering information, of expression, of life, of beauty, of wisdom, of death. Not all planets are like Earth. Not all living beings in other spaces, one, have free will. Not all planets that are in other solar systems that have life on them have kind of like the freedom that we have, but there's also planets that are far more evolved than where we are at. And so if there are planets that are all, like we're anchored in 3D, it's very dense. It's very dense in 3D. You go into a 5th dimensional planet, you go into a 7th dimensional planet, you go into these full ecosystems that have been anchored in one space in time, right? Rather than dispersed everywhere. It's in one space of time. There's like this agreement that there's this planet here. And so we're experiencing life in that way. There's a lot to all of it. Earth is dense. Earth is in a lower vibrational context. And so if you're just talking, what is this? What is Earth? What are we doing here? I believe that it is a school of ascension. It is a school of ascension by means of being able to connect to a higher level of consciousness within ourselves. So what I believe that's happening on Earth right now is that we're in 3D consciousness. The new Earth is splitting from the old Earth. Old Earth is kind of bedrocked in chaos, destruction, lower level frequencies, blame, guilt, punishment, that sort of thing. New Earth is anchored in unconditional love, true unconditional love, unconditional expression, where it is that we are going in the harmonization within the individual ecosystem of a human being. So this new Earth that we are shifting into is bringing a consciousness of Earth into the 5th dimension, into 5D. Now, what's really unique about this experience right now is that we're bringing our physical bodies with us. So our DNA is shifting from carbon-based DNA to silicone-based DNA. And this is something that's been known for many years, several decades, but it's just not widely known because not all human beings have been ready for this information. Well, because we're living in this period of the Great Awakening, beyond the Mayan calendar, all of this stuff, is that we're living in this age of prophecy. Floods all over the earth, fires all over the earth, things that have gone so weird that we can't help but talk about how wackadoodle things have gotten. But it is this period of this tipping point where this new Earth is birthing. Now, here's the interesting thing about the new Earth is that it's not a place we're going and it's not a place that needs to be built. The new Earth is a consciousness that is embedded within us. It is a harmonization of our divine masculine and divine feminine energies together. This is also why I believe that 2025 is this harmonization of sacred union, that people will truly be finding their true love balances, their true love. And it's because that love, like the power, the true power that is within that love, that is harmonized in integrity, that is true, is really anchoring into a completely different level of consciousness. And that is what is required in order for us to birth this new Earth. So it's kind of happening back and forth. And the beauty that is that, it's like, to me, it's just so exciting because I know that's why I'm here. I know that's why I was born at this age. I know that's why my life experience has been what it is. And like the beauty that is in that is truly extraordinary. So what are we doing here now? I believe that we're bringing our physical bodies into 5D in the first time that that's ever happened. So it's almost like an elevated experiment that is also happening by means of free will, meaning people can choose to be in old Earth consciousness and people can choose to be in new Earth consciousness. Part of that has to do with breaking out of the matrix. Part of that has to do with breaking out of the programming. Part of that has to do with breaking out of the spell, which is parallel to a butterfly, right? A caterpillar turning into goo and needing the strength to actually break out of the cocoon to be able to fly. It's us breaking out of the slave matrix, us breaking out of these things is literally the strength that it takes for us to learn to fly.
If a young girl has an abortion, what happens to the soul of that embryo?
They wait again.
Does it stay with you?
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they will find another host. They'll find, well, host is a bad word, but like they'll find another mother. They'll find another entry point. Sometimes they may wait until the mother is ready to actually have that baby, have that being.
So that, okay, so that soul might stay with you sometimes until you have your next kid. And then that soul will go
Well, until you get, I would say until you get pregnant again, because technically the next kid is still the same soul.
Sure. So it could be the next soul. My mum had a miscarriage, and a clairvoyant said that soul for that baby will go into your son's kid.
That isn't always true, but that can happen.
That can happen.
Yeah, for sure.
When does a soul enter the body? How quickly? As soon as the sperm...
Even before... I believe that we choose our parents and we choose where we want to come in before sperm meets egg. So we want to split hairs on when does this happen and when is it murder and when is it not and when is it all these things. It really, there's so many factors that come into play with all of it. And sometimes like a miscarriage will happen because the mother isn't actually ready or the father isn't actually ready. Like the stage hasn't been set to bring in a child. And so if the stage hasn't really fully been set to bring in that child, it's that the parents may need to really accept that they're like ready for that, you know? And there's so many factors. It's not even just that. But yeah, I do believe that the baby being is connected to the parents far, 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 far before the moment of conception, even before the parents have ever met.
I see.
Yeah.
But, okay, so the soul lingers waiting for conception, but when does the soul enter the body?
At conception.
As soon as the sperm hits the egg.
We spoke about that. It's that spark of light happens. That spark of light happens when sperm meets egg. The whole thing lights up, illuminates. If you haven't seen this under a microscope, it's worth Googling.
Yeah.
But the whole thing illuminates. To me, that is so I went through a meditation when I was at a school developing my psychic abilities. We went back before the moment of conception. We went back because your soul has these memories. Your mind doesn't have these memories. Your soul remembers what it was like to be conceived. Your soul remembers the first trimester. Your soul remembers before even getting there. Your soul remembers connecting your parents in such a way that you could even get a body. You know, especially these accidental pregnancies. They're not accidental. There is an energy that is happening beyond the scenes that is our own consciousness saying, I'm ready for the body. I want to call you mom and you dad. Thanks for like meeting. Now, if we could orchestrate this in such a way that I can come in, it's great. So the souls that want to have bodies can be very persuasive in a lot of ways, often usually with the mother, but not always with the mother, because sometimes that soul agreement can happen with the father as well.
Okay. And if you deny that and get an abortion, is that a sin?
I don't believe that that's a sin. I don't believe in sin.
You don't believe in sin?
I don't believe in sin.
Why?
Because I believe that sin is a construct that keeps humans trapped in a matrix.
I see.
Yeah. Guilt, blame, punishment, wrongdoings, all of that, they're very low vibrational frequencies. And again, when it comes to forgiveness, can you really truly look in your mirror and forgive yourself for something that has occurred in your life that you have done that you are holding shame for? You're going to actually integrate and learn the lesson and not do it again. So if you're doing something and you haven't forgiven yourself for it and you continue to do it, you're perpetuating the cycle that's actually just causing you more harm than probably anyone else around you. And so that piece is really offered in the grace of your own intent. And if a child is going to come through to a toxic dynamic that's going to affect the lives of 3 people and even more for the duration of the lifespan, there's a lot more that goes into the factors of this.
So you're very good to yourself. You speak very nice. You don't beat yourself up on anything. That wasn't, you know, there's no guilt, there's no sin. Or would you say even though you believe in it, you're still human?
I have done a lot of things that I am not proud of in this life. I had to walk through a lot of pain and I had to walk through a lot of darkness for a lot of years. It's often why I say that I had to learn to speak the dark codes to be able to be gifted with the ability to hold the light. And through that, what I have learned is that all healing is not that you're broken or that there's something within you that needs to be fixed. It's literally a coming home to yourself. And if you come home to yourself and the place is a mess and it's full of destruction and harmful words and punishment, then you're not going to want to be there, which means you're not going to want to be in your body. And so what I've learned in that is that my relationship with myself is also my relationship with God. And so in that, there's a harmonization to that. And do I have really intense, big feelings about certain things sometimes? And am I, always proud of everything that I'm doing, even as it's happening? No, because I have a lot of really big feelings and big emotions. And sometimes I probably let those govern my decisions a bit too much. But I also just know that so there's a term that's called karuna compassion, and it basically means that there's no separation between you and you. If there is no separation between you and you, then you're also acting in a space of divine sovereignty, which isn't allowing any other weird stuff to come in, any other distortions. And not only that, it's that you've harmonized your lessons that we're here to teach you. So yeah, do I speak kindly to myself? I very much do, because it also is what helps me to speak kindly to others.
Have you ever had like a bad reading and you didn't want to tell the person if you had a reading that this person's going to die from a heart attack or something? Does that happen?
No. I stopped doing one-to-one readings a long time ago in that way. I did in the first maybe, let's say, 10 years of my work. But then I started shifting into groups and doing a lot more group stuff.
Okay.
And teaching people how to read for themselves, because I find it so much more valuable than me reading for somebody. And so when I would do readings, I asked Spirit specifically, only show me what I'm meant to communicate. And please don't show me anything else.
Got ya.
And there have been some times where I see something and I know that it is not for me to say it, and it is partly a lesson for me. And sometimes I see things that I really don't want to communicate, but I know that I'm there to be the messenger.
Yeah. Wow. Is there any souls or beings or figures that have camel feet?
Why are you asking that?
That's just what I've, from my research, there's been a few that says, yep, we've seen souls and they have camel feet.
I've never encountered that.
No? They have been human figures with normal feet, normal hands?
If I'm being honest, I very rarely see feet on spirits.
Aha. Interesting.
Their energy. Why would they need feet? They're not walking.
Yeah. So okay. Okay. What do you see? You've seen a ghost. What does it look like?
A ghost is different than I think what you're asking.
What's a ghost?
A ghost is a spirit that has kind of been stuck in purgatory, that hasn't been able to fully transition.
And would that have been because this person had caused harm or done something in their life?
Usually.
So he's stuck?
Usually.
Got ya. Okay, and what does a ghost look like?
Usually what they look like as a human.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And what does a spirit look like?
It depends on the spirit. It depends on their energy. Sometimes it is more, like if it's an angelic being, the angelic being is an orb of light, a flash of light. Like your grandfather showed up to me, like wearing a shirt and,
Light blue polo shirt.
Light blue polo shirt. Yeah.
Wow.
But like if I'm communicating to an angel, they don't always... Sometimes they show up in form, I think, to appease our egoic mind, but they don't always have form.
I'm going to show you a photo of my granddad.
Okay.
And I'm just going to see, did you see something like that?
Okay.
That's me and him.
That's very sweet.
That's me.
Very cute. Yeah. Yep.
But
I didn't fully see his face, but it was definitely like that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Very happy, very gregarious, very happy to like be here in your presence. Yeah.
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 What a beautiful photo.
We're the best of friends.
I love that.
Yeah.
I have that relationship with my grandmother.
Yeah. Oh, cute.
Yeah, I have with both of my grandmothers.
You told me you were the favorite. Yeah.
Well, that was my Mimi, but my
Okay.
Mimi's daughter is my Noni, and yeah, my Noni and I have a very special relationship. Yeah, so the language that I was speaking also when I was tuning into your energy a bit.
Yes.
So this is a language that's called light language.
Okay.
I went from not speaking it at all to within a matter of 10 minutes, a full-blown activation. And this full-blown activation was absolutely wild. It happened leap day of 2020, right before the world started shutting down. I wasn't sure if I was going home or not. it really knocked my socks off. Now, in my evolution, I've had several different stages of awakening. One was accepting my own abilities as a psychic. Another one was I had angel wings that kept showing up in my meditations. And so it was learning the connection that I have to the angelic realm, and the earth angels very much are a thing. The third one, big one, was connecting to my dragon lineage, my dragon body. The fourth one was light language. And I know a lot of this is like a little bit ungraspable, and especially like when I was just starting, I would have been like, what are you, even actually when the light language happened for me, I barely even knew what it was. I was like, what? So this full activation that happened within a matter of 10 minutes.
And is this a spirit language?
It's a soul language. So it's soul to soul. So when people ask me what I'm channeling, it's my heart. It's my consciousness within that is activating a clear connection to like your soul or anybody who's listening to it, which is why it's like, what are you saying? What's going on? Ooh. There's like a magnetism to it that's like, hang on, why does that feel familiar? Like, what language are you speaking? And we call it light language. In some ways it can be called speaking in tongues. It is the language of God. It is the language of source. Okay. If you look at Sanskrit and you look at light language that's scribed out, there's a lot of very clear similarities. If you connect to ancient Hawaiian language, a lot of similarities. You go to basically a lot of native languages sound very similar in some ways to light language.
Got ya. It sounded like prehistoric, like Egyptian times, right? Have you ever connected to that? Like, have you ever connected to like the Egyptian times or anything like that? Have you?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
So I have a very strong connection to Hathor. Hathor is also known as the goddess of 1,000 tongues. So the Syrian Star Nation, there are many different dialects of light language. So it's not like it's kind of like Earth, where there are many different languages, and then within those languages, there's different dialects and accents and that sort of thing. So it's similar to that. So there's like Palladian, there's Dragon, there's Lyrian, there's Andromedan, there's Arcturian, there's basically different dialects or languages that are spoken to that. But oftentimes, and that's why some light language resonates very closely with some people, and some people will hear it and like not resonate at all. Sometimes it has to do with the channel, their specific frequency, but also it's like what language is closest to their soul language that really piques interest.
Okay. So that's crazy. So you just kind of learned it in 10 minutes. It just came. I
didn't learn it. That's the thing, is that people will be like, how did you learn to speak light language? I didn't learn it. I literally heard, put your computer down. We're about to show you something. I get messages like this all the time. So I'm like, okay, put my computer down. I listened to a YouTube meditation for like 30 minutes. Nothing happened. So I'm like, interesting. I get another video that came up like suggested for you. And it was like a 6-minute activate your light language. And I'm like, this is interesting. Like, this thing about light language keeps coming up. Yeah. I watched it, and literally by the end of me watching that video, it started coming through, and then it came in like a lightning bolt, like a full blown memory activation within me, and I couldn't stop channeling it for about 3 hours. And then the next day I started scribing, and I was writing it and writing it and writing it. So sometimes for people it comes through like they have one code, or they'll like write a little bit, or they'll do like a hand movement, or they'll have a tone that comes through, and it comes through gradually. For me, it was not like that. It was literally just like barreling through a wall. It happened instantaneously, and it was like fully on. Wow. Yeah, it was wild.
Wow. Why do you think you're chosen?
What do you mean?
I'm not chosen. You're chosen to speak to them and us.
Because I'm one of them. I believe, so I remember volunteering to come to this world. I remember being in a group of beings. There were 12 of us. And I remember we were in like this orangey, pinkish, yellow field. And in this orangey, pinkish, yellow field, everyone was energy centers. Or just energy beings, no faces, no feet, no shape at all. And I remembered that there was like almost like a podium and a bit of information that came from the bottom of this space, and it was a life. And I remembered, it was like, who wants to step forward for this life? Who would like to take this life? And I remembered volunteering and saying, I'll do it. I'll take that life.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it's like, was I a chosen one, or did I volunteer, or do I know that I come from other realms to be here to help Earth ascend? 100%. Like, I've activated those memories within me, which is why I know that I'm here to be an activator.
Wow.
Because it's kind of like, I know the way. I know the way internally. I know how to unlock those codes within people, which is what my whole academy is really about.
Wow. Can you predict a lot of numbers?
No.
No. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so you threw me off there. you know me, right? I'd say you know me.
Okay.
What do you think of me?
Why?
My soul, is it a dark soul? Is it a light soul? Is it a good soul? Is it a
I
bad
think
soul?
you're just waking up. What I can see within you is that you're like just at the beginning of waking up. So it's not necessarily, are we a dark soul or a light soul? We're all dark souls and we're all light souls. We all have both. It literally, there's a Native American story that is basically paraphrased. It's that we all have a light wolf inside us and we all have a dark wolf. And it is like how we show up in this world is dependent on which one we choose to feed. And so I think in a lot of ways we unconsciously feed our wounds, which is the numbing, distraction, dissociation, chasing egoic accomplishments, that sort of thing in the external reality. But when it comes to what is harmonized within us, there's our own choice. That is our own free will. So yeah, what I can see with you is that there will be many seasons of ego deaths that are impending, which is basically like the cracking off the shell and cracking off the masks and cracking off the shells, to be able to really fully embody the presence of your light being. But the presence of your light being also comes through the integration of the dark, and the integration of the dark comes through that self-forgiveness, the self-acceptance, the I am what I am, and not like I am who I am and there's nothing anyone can do to change it, right? That's like stubborn egoic shenanigans. But it is like, I am who I am and I allow myself to be as I am. And that process to me is a process of ascension and awakening. And there are a lot of things that happen in that experience.
And that cycle, what you're talking about, that's not going to be done in one lifetime. It'll be many lifetimes that my soul
I think
will
it
go
can
through.
happen in one lifetime.
It can happen.
I think okay. I believe that it can happen in one lifetime, and I believe that we are in a state of such an accelerated lifetime and time here on this planet, that what can be done in 1 week used to take years, used to take lifetimes, used to, like, we're just so accelerated now, like things are happening so fast that if we want to accelerate our consciousness, we can accelerate our consciousness. And if we want to bring that evolution into such a beautiful way, we can. And if we want to slow it down, we also can. That's where like the gift of free will influences how we show up for ourselves primarily.
So when you say I'm just waking up, you know when they say this guy's an old soul, a 10-year-old can be such an old soul.
Yes.
It's because this soul's come back on this earth many times,
Yes.
right? So, and then once you've learned everything from this world, then you go into the next universe, right?
If you so choose.
If you so choose.
The Bodhisattva vow is to be here incarnating on earth until all souls harmonize and awaken. Are there an extraordinary amount of embodied bodhisattvas on this planet right now? Yes, there are.
So I'm a new soul. I'm an early soul.
Do you feel that?
That's what you're saying. I'm just waking up.
No. No, just waking up is different than being a new or old soul.
What's waking up mean?
Waking up means that you are clearing the amnesia. So the amnesia is forgetting who you are, forgetting where you came from. All this information that I've shared with you, again, we all have access to all of it. It's like, take it with a grain of salt, try it on for size. Does it fit? Does it not fit? Is it illuminating? Is it turning wheels? Is it going, wait, why do I feel like I knew that? It's new to me information, but it doesn't feel new. It's that I'm sharing things that are resonant to your soul. And so if I'm sharing things that are resonant to your soul, there's an element of you that's already going, okay, wait, why do I get that? How is it that I get that, right? It doesn't necessarily, I shouldn't understand that, but I do. That is kind of what I mean by awakening. It's that the awakening is a detoxification of the amnesia. So it's not that because someone is just waking up, they're a new soul or an old soul. That's a different concept. Yeah.
Okay, so that's different. So does that mean I had amnesia? Like, what does that mean?
We've all had amnesia. We all come into this world with the agreement of amnesia. We all come into this world agreeing to forget where we came from.
I see. So I'm almost kind of like washing that off and then
Yep.
doing this. But then when I graduate, I remember that life and this life and the previous lives that I've had.
That can mean what that is.
In the previous life, were my parents the same? The souls.
Oftentimes we travel in soul groups. So it's not that your parents are always your parents. In fact, it can very easily be that you were your parents' parents. It can be very easily that you were your parents' cousins. It can be very easily like, usually families that are like soul families will travel together, but it's like extended.
And do they stay together in terms of culturally as well? Like all the Indian souls reincarnate in Indian.
Well, that's an interesting question, right? Because now there's so much mixed race babies and mixed race relationships and mixed, right? It's like the planet itself is becoming more and more integrated in the rainbow of people.
Yes. But is that, or you don't know? Like it's hard to say.
I think it's hard to say. I think like the amount of what I've seen is possible. So it's like when we explore energy, I would say do your best to not ask finite questions. Because logic and rationale and reason don't necessarily apply in the way that it works in the third dimensional world. So it's like when we are exploring these worlds, it's like keep your mind open to a field of possibilities that is greater than what you could possibly know. Because it will also keep you in an ever state of learning. Because the second we start to go, I know, you stop allowing things to teach you. To expand, to influence. What's
the best thing I can do as a soul? What's the best thing I can do in this earth to keep God happy? What's the? I want to know how to increase my elevation. Is it to help?
I would say it's to unabashedly follow your heart. It's not a Hallmark saying. It's not some cliche, kitschy thing. It's like to truly, truly follow your heart. I believe that our soul is where our heart is where our soul lives in our body. It's also why it's the most protected space, right, within our rib cage. But it is that within that space of your heart, your soul has the entire, I call it your golden compass. It's your entire blueprint of what you came into this world to do is existing in the core of your soul. And so when you are following your heart, you're listening to your soul's guidance. It literally is your golden compass. That is your connection to God.
How do you strengthen your connection to your heart?
Forgive yourself. Most people are so disconnected from their heart because we have been encouraged to don't resolve conflicts, cut, clear, delete, walk away, which means don't take responsibility for your part in creating a toxic dynamic that you would run away from ultimately, which stunts ascension and stunts growth. It would be to hold on to grudges. Holding on to grudges is going to also keep you in a lower vibrational field.
Wow.
So it's like allowing forgiveness to wash over. But ultimately, it's like if you forgive yourself, forgiving other people isn't even a thing, right? Because it's harder to forgive ourselves than it is to forgive other people more often than not. So what I say when I'm really helping people walk into these soul memories and clear the amnesia, it's okay, if you had the ability to open up a gateway, let's say to the angelic realm, and if you had the ability to communicate and talk to angels, but the thing that's keeping you from being able to communicate and talk with angels is the resentment that you're carrying for somebody that somebody did to you 5 years ago, or let's even say 5 months ago, that you have deemed unforgivable, and you carry that pain in your heart with under the illusion that by keeping that pain, you're going to basically prevent that circumstance from happening again. It's literally this very interesting thing that our egoic consciousness does. Our ego wants to protect us. So a painful event happens and they go, copy, paste, remember that, remember that, remember that, don't go in that way again. And it's literally by fight or flight. It's to keep us safe from predators and all sorts of stuff. Well, now that biological response is actually giving us this opportunity to ascend, because it's going, okay, that happened. I don't want to live under that ceiling. If you hold on to it, you're living under that ceiling and you're living in that box of pain. And so when we actually allow ourselves to be forgiven, to forgive ourselves and also to forgive others, it opens our heart and it opens our heart. So if you had the ability to communicate with the angelic realm and all you had to do was to forgive that person for doing the unforgivable, would it be worth it?
Of course.
Of course.
Much easier said than done, though.
Not when you have that kind of reasoning, though.
Yeah.
Because when you're thinking of forgiveness is like what do most people think forgiveness is? Like, they don't understand the value as to why it is important to forgive someone.
It's relinquishing the resentment you have for somebody, which is holding you back.
Right. And that's one thing. That's a self-serving, but that's what I mean. Like, if you turn the value up and you go, okay, the consciousness of your heart is a literal stargate. It is a literal portal to the unseen, to the ascended worlds, to your soul memories, to clear the amnesia. It is actually through the gateway of your heart, which is why ascension happens through emotional intelligence and through the intuitive intelligence, which is why women are also leading this spiritual evolution, because we have for eons had more permission to feel our feelings and to have our emotions. Where men, it's like, don't feel your feelings, be stoic, be blocked, da 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 da. This is why it's more difficult for men. It's not that men don't have the connection to their intuition. I've met so many men that are incredibly intuitive. And it's like, okay, beautiful. They are also usually very emotionally intelligent. Like, they are connected to their emotions. So feelings and emotions and intuitions are the gateways to being able to actually access these higher abilities within us. But if we're blocked emotionally, we're not going to ascend intuitively either.
Sometimes it's hard to forgive someone.
Why?
It's hard. Sometimes it's hard. Right? And that's what I think would block a lot of people. It's like, yeah, but I can't forgive that person.
So why is it hard? Like, what makes it hard to forgive someone?
The level of hurt somebody's put you through.
Right. And so the level of hurt that we then carry by not forgiving becomes our burden.
Yeah.
So then we are only harming ourselves. They harmed us once, but we are harming ourselves repetitively.
Yes. Yeah, that's why people love to suffer. Do you know how much I've suffered for this? I don't want to let it go. I don't want to let this go.
Right,
I've suffered
because
for
I've invested so much time in the suffering that,
Yeah.
and I'm right and they are wrong.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just simply is. Sometimes it's a karmic thing. Sometimes it's a whatever it is. It doesn't necessarily matter. But this is the way that I talk about conflict like that, is that it actually is tug of war. If you are playing tug of war with someone because you're like, I can never forgive you, so I'm going to hold on to this cord and I'm going to hold on to this cord and I'm going to constantly think about you. And I'm going to constantly give you my energy and I'm going to constantly let you drain me. And I'm going to constantly, that's what you're agreeing to.
Yeah.
So forgiveness is like, I let you off.
Yeah.
I let you go.
Yeah.
I let you to be free out of my field. I let you to be free out of, and it's not even that. It's that I set myself free. I let myself go. I no longer want to carry this burden of pain.
My last question I want to ask you was about fate.
Okay.
And destiny.
I love this. Yes.
Right? Do we already have a pre-written fate and destiny for our soul before it comes in? Or do we choose our own fate and destiny?
I believe that we do have our own destiny. Fate, I believe, is a little bit different. So destiny is, as I see it, they are like points that our soul agreed to participate in this world. at our highest elevation, but also in our lowest. A lot of people want to think that destiny is only like your potential. Well, I also believe that a lot of our low moments are destiny or fated moments because they're designed to literally like bring out the best in us. And so if we allow the resentment and the guilt and all this stuff to actually like harbor hate, then it's not bringing out the best in us. And so it's that unconditional love, that unconditional forgiveness, the I let you off. I see you for who you are. I see that you are in pain. I understand I'm human as well. And I set you free in the way that I set me free. And so there's something really beautiful to say about like identifying fate as some of these low points that we have as well. Fate. So destiny I see is like, that's where we're going. That's the point of our incarnation. That's why we agreed to come here. I believe it's my destiny to facilitate as many awakenings as I possibly can, to be here as a way shower, to bring people into the new earth. I woke up to that when I was about 21 years old. Now fate, I believe, is almost like, you ever gone bowling with the bumpers on?
Yeah.
That's like how I see fate. Fate is like, hey, go back over here. Hey, go back over here. Hey, go back over here. It's like, don't get too far off the rails. Come back this way. And so it's like that fated moment that you meet someone that will bring you to your destiny point. You will meet some, like the way that I came to Dubai in the first place, I was actually working with a Chinese group on crypto projects, which you would look at and go, well, that's not necessarily aligned to your soul's alignment. And it totally wasn't. But what was aligned was me coming to Dubai. And it was meeting these certain people and these certain places. And there was soul family in those agreements of people that I met. And I was like, oh, I know why we're here. And so to me, that was fate. And I experienced those moments. I literally felt like I was holding destiny in my hands at some points. And I didn't even know that that was like a possibility. I didn't even know that you could like do that.
Wow. Top 5 psychic, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So I had such a good time.
Yes.
Thank you for looking into my ancestors and my granddad for me. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And thank you for sharing that photo. It was like, yay, yeah, we were online.
I want you to come back on the podcast.
I'd
Please.
love to.
I'd love to have you back on anytime you're in Dubai.
Okay.
But mind blown, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you on my podcast.
Absolutely.
We are out.